and welcome back. Thanks for tuning in, as they say. It's been a few days now since I've done a video again, but I've made some progress, and I've got some work I'm going to do today, so we'll get the cameras in the shop while I'm working today and capture some of that. As far as an update goes, turns out I was pretty unhappy with the staining, so went to plan B on the state shape cutouts, and they are now having espresso bean satin finish latex on them, and to be honest, it looks much nicer that way. This way they don't really compete with the barn board, you know, all the character and texture and different things on the barn board. They're just the state cutouts on there, and they look better rather than having another set of wood grain pattern to kind of compete with that. And then yesterday, after that paint had dried thoroughly, I was able to work on the states and put the Z-clip hangers on them. So those are all positioned and mounted. There's a bunch of drilling processes there and screwing things together. And I also included the locator for the capture pin thing I'm going to put on there. So I got those figured out. The next step today is to locate the state cutouts on the barn board, drill the holes through the barn board, and determine where I want to put backing material behind there for the screws that go through and clamp those two together. It should be simple enough. I know I'm going to have some challenges, especially on the state of Virginia, because it's right where one of the styles that goes through the frame is there. So one's going to have a long screw, one's going to have a short screw with a backing material on it, and so on. But the key thing is to keep them all level and within the same distance from the edges, you know, side and top, depending on whether they're a high or a low one. So I'll get that worked out. We'll get some video of that. Otherwise, it's going pretty good. All the materials are here now. Not much left to do other than the assembly. The copper will be done then after I'm done putting all the state mounts on the board. So once the mounts are all on the board, the hangers for the state cutouts, I can then start working on cutting the copper bar to length and then drilling it and then mounting it onto the barn board as well. And that'll be the final thing. The only other thing I thought was I might want to put something on the back of each state, maybe something about the city, the location we lived, and maybe, you know, the time frame, what months and so on that we lived there, just because they're going to be removable. I mean, that's the nice thing about them. If you want to, you can pull off one of the states and look at what's there. So it should work out good. Anyway, thanks again for tuning in. We'll be heading into the shop shortly, and I'll show you the progress of where things are at right now before we get started on mounting everything up. So come along and watch. So here in the shop, I've got things set up so I can work on it. A little bit different than having it on the bench. That's because I have to have access to the bottom side. So I hope this is going to work out pretty good, and I think it will. You can see I've got everything laid on here the way it goes. I took the bus bars, the copper path off of here for now, and the states are mostly positioned where I want them. I have to, you know, go back and do some measurements to confirm that. But what I'll be doing, I'll see if I can lift one off here like Iowa and show you how this works. This piece here needs to be fastened to the barn board. That's got the Z-clip on it, and the back of the state has the matching Z-clip on it, so it hangs onto that one. Real simple. Then this little angle bracket here is going to capture the pin that is on my little bracket here that will be mounted to the board as well. And I have little standoffs for all of those so they get the right height, and it kind of helps make them a little bit less visible from the sides of the states when they're on there. So I've got to put them all exactly where I want them, and then carefully lift the state off, mark the holes, and drill them. To do that, I'm going to do it freehand, so I'm going to get the drills out, and I know in some cases I'm going to have to use a Forstner bit to clean up the back side a little bit, or rather push through the frame that's on here. That's why I've got to have that available to do this. So I've got some lighting down here I'll be able to kick in, and I've got my little what I call it, my little creeper, so I can sit down low on work. When you get old like me, you can't work on your knees that often. You gotta have some tools to help do that, and little rolling stools like that are very helpful for that purpose. So I'm gonna get going on these. Once I get started and I've kind of got it figured out, I will get the cameras turned back on so we capture some of this process as I go along the way here. So this will be the first pass through, then I come back with the copper. I'm a little nervous about drilling through the board. It's still in perfect condition how I've kept it, but I know the edges are delicate, so I'll just have to work slowly, make sure I don't garf anything up. You got to think about every step before you do it when a process like this. But it's been fun, well, you know, kind of the art thing going on here, as well as the technical challenge of getting all this stuff done so it's level, it looks right, it's got some artistic appeal. It's been a fun project, so hope you continue to follow along as I do some of the mounting here. Well, I'm pleased to announce that my first estate was attached with no problems. I had, you know, everything as planned, cutouts, you know, Forstner bit recesses on the back of the frame and so on. I missed the mounts, brackets, everything, so that's working out good. The best part though is that my little capture pin idea works really good. So all I gotta do is get the state centered well enough on there, slide it down until you feel it grab that little pin, and then boom, it's on there. So perfect, works good. You can't lift them off once they're on there. They'll be kind of secure sitting around in there. So with that being said, I will now move on to another one here. We'll let the cameras roll for a little while, see what we end up capturing. I won't use any expletives, even though there's no, I checked the box that says not made for children on YouTube. Some of this stuff is a little tricky. Using a freehand drill with a Forstner bit up underneath, trying to get the right amount of depth into the wood is tricky. I've never done a Forstner bit freehand, always done with a drill press. I was able to do it and it worked out good. And luckily I bought enough size ranges of screws that I was able to get the depth right. Nothing protrudes out the back, so it's going to work good. So now the next thing I got to do is I think I've got these all positioned where I want them to be. They look about right. I've done some measurements. I probably got to do a little bit more. I just got to kind of figure out exactly where it's at here and hold that bracket in place. And of course it's on a knot, which the board has a lot of warp to it right at this point, but I can try and get it off of there without moving it. Let's see. Yeah, well, okay. One thing I am doing is using slightly oversized holes through the wood, because that will let me position then the bracket. If I need to change the state, it's level a little bit. So now I've got to get the Forstner bit, get underneath there and do the recesses. It's not as easy as I'd like it to be, but it's accomplishable. Well, it's down on there, and I figured that's the way it was going to go. Okay, I'm back from the hardware store. I got some 832 by 2.5 inch machine screws, which I needed to get deep enough through here for Virginia, which was the problem. It was a real, it was a bitch. So anyway, Virginia's on there. It's a little tight, but it fits good. It looks good. I've got Washington State 3/4 of the way done. Now I've got to cut a backer board for it over here on the miter saw, and then I'll get that drilled on the drill press, and we'll get that one mounted up. I'm making it longer so that when I have to do the copper bus bar, like I mentioned earlier, there's plenty of meat back there. I don't have to cut any more of those boards. All right, time to go drill. Safety glasses, of course. Okay. line this up. Okay, right about there. Yeah. Numb down and locked. Oh, that is so nice. That's like precision work. Precision woodworking. All right, that's 3. 2 to go. All right, I'm gonna get a board cut, back that one up, and then I'm gonna do the pin mount for it, the capture pin mount, and then I'll move on to Wisconsin, and we'll come back when we're all finished. Okay, I'm just finishing up Wisconsin. I got the final bracket on here with the Z clip hanging bracket, and I got the capture pin one on there. I've got to put the screws, or the nuts rather, and the washers on the back. And that'll be it then. They're all on here. Then I can admire it for a little while and move on to working on the copper. Let's see. Yep, there it is. It's on. So I just got to get it straight here. It looks pretty good. These are all done now. That's really good. I got backing plates on all of them, so I should have the ability to more quickly now move through the copper mounting. And I think it's going to look pretty good. So I'm probably only a day or 2 away here from finishing, provided I don't find more interruptions to keep me away from working on this. So anyway, thanks for hanging in there, and we'll be back for the next update when I'm working on the copper.